Hey, can you see me? Oh,
Hello, mate.
how's it going? Shit. Good to, I guess as my generation would say, meet you face to face.
Yeah, I'm all in the dark here. We got candles going and stuff. It's after dark, so
Nice. I need to do
use
that
that.
actually. I was doing that for a bit, but then almost burnt my room down. Uh, I got like a reptile lamp though here. Might turn that on. But it's still early here, but
Okay, I can't see you though.
no. Okay, one second. Start video. Hey.
There you are.
Hey. Oh wow. This is good.
Oh yeah, thanks for that hour, Brett. I just needed to chill out. I had that really late gig, and then I was up all day and doing all this stuff, and I just got to that stage where I thought, right, I just need to lie down for a minute. I got an hour, and then you popped up, and I thought, we're always, every time I try and calculate it or anybody else, always get it wrong.
Time is a construct.
Yes, I know.
How your kids are there?
Hey, kids. Not too much shouting.
Oh, that's cool. I don't mind.
Oh, no, I don't mind either. It's just the problem is that it cuts the mic out, because it kind of triggers my mic, and then I can't hear you. I don't mind the chaos. It's just not being able to hear.
Let kids.
They'll probably pop in and say hello at some point anyway. They always do.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man. So, no fishing today?
No, I just thought, do you know what? I'm just too knackered. I want to get up tomorrow. I tell you what it is. I started this to write this ebook. I thought the guy who does my web stuff, and he's organised all of the stuff I do. The YouTube channel, everything. And he's great. And he said he did the course and all that. And he said, what you need is an ebook. You need to get a meal plan or something for people. They need their hands held. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that at all. But I don't mind doing a frequently asked questions one about carnivore. I thought, I'll do that. So I thought, well, there's like maybe 10 or 15 really well-known questions or whatever. I can do that. And so I started off, and I think I've maybe filled in about 15 of them. But every time I start on one, I think of about 3 more. And there's about 60 there now, backed up. And they're questions that people ask me like multiple times, and you as well, probably. But I just thought, right, I've got to just take tomorrow and Tuesday off. I'm never going to do anything if I go to the lake, I'll just sit there with my friend and get hammered or something. So I think I better stay home and do this, write this thing.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, no, that's actually something that amazes me is I keep thinking, no, this is so simple. Like, how much is there to say, really? But then questions just keep coming.
I know.
I think a large part of it is people are freaked out by it, and they get nervous, and they just want to keep asking questions. They really want to be sure of whatever they're getting into before they get into it. But what I always say is just do it. Just try.
Yeah. It's fine by me, but I just thought, it's just another little thing. Oh, this is Amelia. This is Oliver. Look.
Hey.
Hi,
How's it going?
Oliver.
Yeah, it's people ask constantly stuff, and I thought, even if I use them now and again, I can just copy and paste them because it's the same old stuff. I can just go bang, bang, bang because like YouTube channel, everything. And then I thought, do you know what? I'll sod it. I'll flog it for a couple of dollars or whatever. Because old Martin, who does the YouTube channel, he's got the. Are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, he said, you've got to start thinking about selling a little bit here and there. Because I never think about it, I'm just not money-minded at all.
No.
I think...
I even did some online marketing for a while, and yet I still can't get myself into that mode. I just make the videos when I feel like it, and the rest, I don't know, just just let it be.
I know. This is why I got hooked up with Martin, this old friend of mine who used to be I used to be in a band with in the 80s, and he's great. He sends me all these sort of rude messages and stuff to keep me in line and whatever, and saying you're being an idiot about this and that and stuff. It's really cool, actually. So he gives me a slap and says, eventually you've got to make a bit of money out of this. It's just, I'd love to just sit there, win the lottery and do it for free, but occasionally you just have to think, that hang on a minute, I need to feed the family, Yeah. And I think, sell a little ebook or something. But I think it's come out like sort of 60 odd questions. So I don't know where it'll end up. I'll see by tomorrow. Well, every Tuesday night I might finish it off and I'll see what happens. But I want to make something really comprehensive so people go, what do I do? What if my family all attack me for it? What if, all of these questions, think that they can link to and think good links as well. And so that's the latest project.
The social aspect's big, but I'm surprised. Don't you get paid off by the meat industry? Don't they pay you enough to?
Well, apart from that, but it's just so much to even fit into my bank account. I have to put it in trust for my kids and stuff. You know what it's like when the meat industry starts paying you, whoever the meat industry are.
I got accused of that too, and I have I think I have 30 subscribers.
It's really funny, isn't it? No, I got accused. I think the first time I ever put a tweet out about it, or the first time I did a video, they were all onto me about it. The meat industry, whoever they are. It's quite hilarious. Yeah,
they should be paying people at this point. It's, look at what the celebrities are pushing, right? Look at the influencers. Those are the people who would get targeted, if anyone. I think. Exactly.
Yeah. They're not going to pay some stupid old hippie like me to go and stand up and talk about it by a lake. It's very strange. But it freaks people out so much.
I know.
So many things I chat about and so many things I'd love to make videos about, and I do, and so many things I blog about, whatever. And diet's only a really small part, but then that's the point they get really angry. It's 90% of what I end up responding to or more is about somebody freaking out about meat for some reason or another, whether it's the spiritual people or the vegans or today on YouTube, I just did that little deuterium video,
Yeah.
Somebody's turned up on that. 2 people have turned up underneath that. And I can understand why they think it's a problem. Yeah. Because one guy is called the health blogger or something, the natural health blogger or something, his YouTube thing, and I got involved with him, responding to him because I don't think he's vegan or anything, but he's into that Mediterranean diets and balanced diets and all of this sort of thing. How can you be so extreme like the carnivores at one end and the vegans at the other? I don't see it like that at all. I don't see it at all like that. I see it as something that people could try as a reset and then decide for themselves whether they want to add the rest in. And if you don't eat all of the horrendous grains and frankenfoods, you're not going to get that broken that you'll ever need it probably. If you eat seasonally and pay attention to light and seasons and your latitude, and you're pretty chilled out, you're not going to get broken enough to have to do that. But the violence with which they put across their points, they get so upset. You're damaging people with your advice. And you're like, my inbox is full of people going, oh, I've reversed this, I've reversed that. What the heck is the problem, man? Just look beyond it. I might be wrong about this deuterium thing, but it looks like it ties in with everything. It looks like it kind of explains how amazingly well paleomedicine are doing, even though they don't. Yeah, they don't endorse it. But it's just another lens to look at things through. I go, look at a different lens. How long have you been talking about balanced diets? How long have you been talking about healing the gut with vegetables? It's not really working. Look at something else. Keep moving. I love that. I love being proved wrong. They go, you're so close-minded.
Exactly.
Yeah, they go, you're so close-minded. I go, no, I was looking at the stuff you're telling. You come to me with something new, I'll jump at it. I won't start arguing like you. It's amazing, these people who never tried it and they just argue and argue and argue. So I'm a bit riled up today. I'm like, on YouTube. I'm just sick of them. Oh,
Yeah, I was having a conversation with some family members not long ago, and I just kept getting so passionate. I had to like calm myself down every few minutes.
I know, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, they don't see that the passion is just to help people out. And maybe, you know, people like us who want to research even more deeply into things.
Yeah,
we
I
come
don't
up,
want to stop here.
we come up with things that other people don't come up with, and we just want to share it. Have a look at this. You tell me, you come back, then look at it. But they won't even look at it. Go, I'm not looking at that. It's crap anyway. And you're like, how open-minded is that? How can you do that? It's so weird.
It's for me. It's because it's all interrelated, right? We have our whole worldview, and as soon as you come along and you say, hey, maybe carnivore diet works, then it connects to a lot of things. It's like, well, maybe the doctors are wrong. Maybe all these articles online about how the meat industry is so bad for the environment or for our health isn't as correct as they would like it to be. I think a lot of people really want to trust in some big authorities, and then they put that trust in them. And then once that gets challenged, it triggers them. I mean, that's the limbic response, right? They're protecting their world, their reality map.
Oh yeah, one of them sent me a massive list today saying, you know, real science. What do you mean real science? Then listed everything, you know,
oh God, this is where we're going.
Organization, the British cardiology thing. I mean, the great list of them, and you're looking at them, you're going, oh, come on, man. I mean, do you really think you're in the first 500 people that sent me that message? It's like I'm suddenly going to go, oh, wow. You made a
Where'd that come from?
Yeah, I know. How can I not have noticed that? You know, the American Cardiology Association or whatever, and the guy who had a heart attack while he was talking, didn't he? The guy, the head of it recently.
Oh, no.
Yeah. How well was he doing with his low-fat diet?
That's terrible.
I know, it's funny. It's funny, isn't it? But yeah, it would be just nice to move on from this. Like I say, in a lot of times, you can tell people, have a look at this, you know, chill out, meditate, watch your light. And they're all really, really interested, and they're all fascinated about all of that. And then EMFs, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I can see how that disrupts the cell. And then listen, why not try just eating meat? And they just go, fuck off. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. Or even keto.
Yeah, that's incredibly dangerous. That's going to, you know, all this stuff that it's reversing, and then it's suddenly going to kill you. Suddenly down the line. And like, oh, well, do you know what? I just don't care. My quality of life is so much better. If it suddenly kills me and I fall over painlessly in 10 years and you can laugh, that's great. But on the plants, I was hurting like crazy.
Yeah, exactly. This is the only thing that's made me be able to live without constant pain. So if you blame me for, you know, going along with this for a little while, then it's kind of your word against mine. I don't know what more to say. It's at that point, they just call us liars and shills. But like, if you think we're telling the truth even to like a small degree, then this should be interesting to you. You should be asking like, oh, what's going on here? Maybe this isn't. We're not saying that this is the diet for everyone, right? That's not. Maybe it is. But oh man, it drives me insane. It's like maybe we have some kind of SIBO or something like that we need to get tested out with another 400 stool tests. And
yeah, the Goji Man thing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you see so many people, so many carnivores, haven't you found, have been through that whole rigmarole.
Yeah.
You know, we've been through it for years. I try this and try this stuff and this oregano oil, you know, or this or that, or drinking something or other. This is going to kill the parasites, or, you know, and it goes on. And eventually you just think, well, just fuck's sake, why just not eat meat? It seems to work. And you say, yeah, is it the diet for everybody? Well, it might be, but you know, but does it do
try
so many other things? Sometimes, you know, ill health is the best thing you can have. You You know, I can see with you, the health problems you've had have led you to everything that they've led you to. And with me as well, it's a great blessing. So I don't even judge that. If they want to eat pizza and Haagen-Dazs like I did and get really sick, and then try and fix it with veganism, get even worse. You know, that's great. It shows that it's you know, it's a blessing. Any path we take is a blessing. And it's just
that comes with every path.
Yeah, exactly. So there's no sort of dogmatic thing anywhere. Just assuming that you're telling people you can get out of your pain with carnivore doesn't mean that we're vegans on the other side, you know, banging the drum and, you know, throwing chlorophyll all over vegans and telling them that they're murderers. That's just, you know, it's funny, isn't it? Very weird.
Yeah, no, that's something that comes up a lot in the groups as well as because there's a lot of joking about vegans, right? Like people post memes, and then there's always someone who has to get righteous and say, "Hey, well, why do we have to sink to their level? Why, like, just let them do what they want?" A question that comes up a lot, I guess, is it just the same thing? Is it just another extreme where we're professing this is how everyone should live, and they're doing the same thing? But that's not what I've seen. That's not at all what I've seen. I've just seen a lot of people who have a very live and let live attitude, and this is where they've been forced. They've been forced into a corner here, and this is all that works for them. So I would argue that it is different than veganism.
I think so, and I think there is actually something that gets into people. You know, there's something about the militant vegan where the brain's kind of gone a bit. And if they sort of have those militant tendencies anyway, they'll come out with this tremendous aggression, and they have no idea that there are other viewpoints. It just shuts you down totally. It's very strong. I mean, as we can see on the groups, there are so many people who are actually like that and banged on about it. And now they just seem to be so reasonable. They've got a bit of animal fat into their brain, and suddenly they're going, what was I thinking? I used to shout about all of that.
I was
I've got their sense of humor back, you know. Nobody actually says, you know, nobody stresses that, you know, you eat a few sort of lumps of butter and a load of tallow or something, and suddenly it seems to increase your sense of humor.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing too, is I wonder a lot of the time, because there's so many people out there who are just working so hard. They're so militant about changing everything. And then, I mean, I was the same way. Now I just kind of, I'm happy. It's the weirdest thing. And that is so lacking in the world. Not to say that like carnivore is going to make everyone happy and like stop destroying the world, but just health in general. It helps you do that. It helps you feel satisfied where you are, as opposed to constantly needing to get somewhere else, which is, you know, what's driving a lot of the problems in the world, no?
Exactly. Yeah. Being in the present. And I think it really is, you know, I don't know how they can argue when you can look at the bone records and see what we did actually eat ancestrally.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty obvious that we weren't living on quinoa. You know, you can look at the bone records and so we're adapted to it. And the more and more you get into the natural rhythms of everything, the more and more you live in the present, I think. And you know, you get also that stability of emotions and whatever. You know, I'm not unruffleable. I've been pretty horrible today. I've been pretty snappy today. Well, one of the reasons I went to get a lie down. But I was knackered from the gig. I've got a load of money tied up here and there. The course, you know, and YouTube. And I've made this mistake with my YouTube channel where I could not deselect something, Antigua. So that's now my country. So I can't get anything out of my YouTube channel unless I have a bank account in Antigua. And then they can't change. And it's just so frustrating. And I'm like, with everything. But then again, you look at yourself and you realize the absurdity of your freak out. You know, that's the thing. You can look at yourself. You seem to be able to have that ability to look at yourself without being so engaged in everything. You can look at yourself and go, I'm being a bit of a twat here. You know, that's cool because we're all twats. We all get upset. We all get irritated. It's not like it stops that. It does calm it down a lot, but it's just the more your brain's working, the more your brain is in touch and filtering the whole of consciousness, whatever that is, you know, better, the more you can take a wider view and say, hey, I'm being a bit of a wanker here, you know, which I don't think the majority, and, you know, I can't say vegans, I can't say that, because I do know a lot of vegans who are actually very cool, you know, and
oh yeah, for sure.
you know, I'm talking about the real militant attacking ones. And they just don't seem to have that ability to do it. Something flips in the brain. But then again, I am seeing, as you are, probably on the groups, there are quite a few people who said, I used to be that militant, and I used to scream about this and that, and they just seem to be balanced now. And they haven't jumped onto from one extreme to another, and they start shouting at people about carnivore. I don't see, you know, people going on to I look sometimes, not often, at the vegan channels and whatever, and I don't see carnivores going on there and attacking them. I see them occasionally going on there and making sort of quite amusing comments or jokes or whatever, but I don't see any violence, and I don't bother. I think maybe I've made one comment once. It was when what's his name, Vegan Gains, had a go at Tim Sheaf, and it was just so nasty. It was so horrible. I had to say something. I had to say, man, that's horrendous. If I was your dad, I'd take you across my knee and give you a bit of a spanking, you know, for that one, because that's totally unnecessary. It was horrible. And that's the only one I've said, but I still I was laughing. I made a joke out of it. So I don't see the militancy, but I do remember, you know, thinking back, my poor parents, I do remember when I was kind of veggie and really thought that was it, particularly when I thought that it was really spiritual. You know, I did give them a hard time. And I think my poor parents, I wish I could go back and give them a hug now and go, just you know, thanks for putting up with it. That was a bit annoying.
I apologized for everything I put them through.
Yeah. I didn't have a chance with my dad, really. Because he died in 2003. I didn't really realize what a twat I was being even by then. But yeah, my mum definitely I did. You know, and then, you know, when at that time about 2 years ago, when we fixed her breast cancer and it reversed, and I was saying to her, listen, here we are, and here I am cooking you meat every day, and I've got to really apologize for that time when I really started shouting about it. But, you know, I never attacked people in the street or poured blood over anyone or anything, you know, so I got away with that. But yeah, it's a funny old business, that one, isn't it? It's just be nice. It would be nice at a time when we move away from that. You know, maybe the paleo medicina stuff comes out. They can see that it really isn't the evil that they think it is, and the gut's really healing up. It's doing some great work. Because it's funny, you can even point them to that, and they just go, oh, well, there's no clinical evidence. Then you can say, no, actually have a look at the talks.
That is clinical evidence.
Yeah, I know. They're running through the clinical evidence right in front of your eyes. Oh, well, you know, it's just anecdote, just one or two. There's always an excuse. And you're like, come on, how much do you want? How much do you want? You know, have you seen that page that Nina Teicholz, I think, has put it up? And, you know, when they go, where are the studies? Where are the studies? And you say, okay, well, have you seen this Nina Teicholz thing? It's not 160 studies. It's 166 pages of studies, you know, and blowing up the evidence on it.
I heard about that. I haven't looked at it yet.
So I just, you know, I noted that they're all there. And you send that to them and they go, oh, well. And they find out something. They won't look at the studies. They go, Nina Teicholz accepted meat once from, you know, for talking at some meat marketing thing at some farmers. Yeah, fair enough. You get paid for speaking. What's wrong with that? Do they not get paid for their job? That's absolutely fine. And she does it also on her own. Oh, well, we can't listen to her because once she got paid for speaking for something. So and you're like, oh, come on. Yeah. It's so weird. It's so weird. But, you know, that's it. You can't bend people. I'll get drawn into chatting on the YouTube channel. And what I've made a vow now on Twitter, no more. You know, no more on Twitter. It's instant.
Twitter's toxic. I'm not on there.
Oh, it's awful, man. It's awful. It's like really, it's like The Walking Dead. You're in the middle of a herd, stabbing, you know, and they keep coming. I can't do that. I can't do it. As soon as one comes up, even if somebody likes something that some previous vegan said, that's it. It's blocked now. I can't do it. It's crazy. But YouTube, I'll get drawn in occasionally. But it doesn't have to be a vegan. You know, it can be all sorts. You get drawn in, and I can't help it. I'm too English. I'm too polite, I guess, and I I just end up banging away. Eventually, I end up asking them. I say, "Look, I'm too polite to ignore your block. Can we stop now? Can we please stop?"
Yeah. No, 'cause, I mean, I see that in debates all the time. Is you make a point and then they just side skirt it and bring their own point along it. They never actually address an argument because they don't. This isn't every vegan, but they don't. A lot of people don't know how to argue. They don't know how to look at an argument and refute it, rebut it. It's
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, like I recently realized that I think like 30% of the population here in Quebec is illiterate. And I was like, how many of the 70% who can actually read know how to make an argument? And it's unfortunate. It's what can we do? We keep talking our truth, I guess.
Yeah, just keep on laughing about it, really,
Yeah.
I guess. Just, don't get drawn in so much that it winds you up and stresses you and gives you too much screen time, because that's another thing that I always think about. Whenever they're popping up, I'm thinking, how long have I been staring at this bloody phone? Because sometimes it happens when you're out, and I know I used to wonder when Jack, when Jack Cruz was all over social media all the time, and I thought, Jack, you're just talking about how bad phones are and you're always on it, but it's funny, you're very aware of it, and you block the light and you try and keep it on airplane mode and then turn it on now and again, but every now and again, if you are doing this and you get into this realm, you got to do it. I guess it's like Jack says, that the internet and Wi-Fi and everything could be our extinction event of 5G, and yet it's spreading the knowledge about how to stop it being our extinction event.
Yeah.
So you got to balance it. Which one's going to win? It's going to be an interesting race, I think.
I say a lot. Technology, it's not a good or a bad thing. It just amplifies what's actually going on. Yeah, I mean, it's the way we're using it, and I mean, he's no better. I think he says himself that blue light's addictive. It's like sugar. It stimulates the brain. So he's just as likely as us to get addicted to that. I'm looking for a job outside right now or something. I don't know.
You are.
Yeah.
Cool.
I can't do the technology. It's I had to figure out how to do the recording on Zoom like an hour before this. I don't know anything about this stuff.
No, I've got to start doing them soon. I don't even know. I haven't even tried. I've been recorded on Zoom a few times, but I haven't done it myself. I want to start doing it. I want to start doing a podcast of kind of carnivores who have a spiritual side. You're definitely coming on that. I'm going to force you on that one. I need to get you on that. But it's, I realize there's quite a few in the group, and there's quite a few who I know from like Skype consultations I've done and stuff, and I can see that there's some really fascinating people out there. And to just take it away without overtly sort of banging on about carnivory all the time, just to be able to show people that there are people, that it's not just a load of, proper cavemen doing it. It's there's some very intelligent, very spiritual people who are cottoning onto this.
That's what shocked me the most from the groups, because I'm on, I don't know, over 50 health groups of different kinds, a lot of them vegan, and the one, like your group, the 100% carnivore group, is by far the most reasonable, but also the most entertaining I've been able to find. It's just the memes are nonstop, but also people make good points, and they're not dogma. I think I've only seen like 2 or 3 people who are really hardcore about everyone should be carnivore, and they shut up pretty quickly. It's silly, getting thrown out for posting a pic of broccoli or something. It's ridiculous. So there are those strict carnivore groups, and if that's what you want, that's fantastic. And they seem to be, a lot less aggressive than the vegan groups. But to me, it's not. It just, life's a bit of a joke, and you really need to be able to muck about with it. And it's fun. Lynn PM. She calls herself on there. She's just great. I've got to know her so well, and we're organising this carnivore retreat and stuff, and it's. She's really funny. Yeah, I really would have loved to come. Oh man.
Oh, we'd love to get you there, man. That would be great. It would.
Let's make it a recurring thing, because I'm in. Yeah.
No, it'd be cool. I mean, she recently Well, today actually, I made her an admin on the group a little while ago because I said, look, you should have been ages ago, and you know, I feel like she's been in from the start, and you know, I'm organising this retreat with her and everything, and she's so reasonable and so cool. And I thought, okay, let's make her an admin. She would refused for ages, and then she kept saying, "Oh, I wish I could block this person. They're being really annoying, whatever." And so I said, "Okay, you know." I said, "You get the block button. Don't make me do any work." I said, "None of us do any work. You know, Greg and Graham and Kathleen, we're all really lax, and we don't really do anything."
Not much. You don't block people who are just hating.
No. It's, you know, and she sent me this message today. She said, "What do you do about people who report posts? Do you block them?" I thought it was a great thing because, you know, somebody's reported a post and you're like, "Oh, come on, this is not the right group to report a post." I mean, if somebody's what I don't like is if there's real trolling from a vegan, which is very rare, it doesn't really happen, or if someone's being really horrendous and offensive to somebody else personally, you know, and then we'll step in. But if somebody, you know, puts up a post that's really close to the edge and a bit risky or whatever, bit un-PC, so what? You know, for Christ's sake, that is what the group's about. It's about laughing at complete absurdities. And the only thing you're likely to get booted out for is reporting posts, you know. So it's not going to happen. I'm not going to be sympathetic. I think only once there was one thing that somebody reported, and that's cool. You know, so do report them if you still, because it just, whether it amuses me or not, I'm not saying don't report posts, but, you know, reporting that post was just ridiculous. And it was funny with Lynn because she goes, "Do we?" And I said, "No, I just tend to completely ignore them and laugh, you know." And so they'll be reporting posts going, "Where's the admin?" Well, yeah, I look at them and I just think, what on earth are you moaning about that for, you know? And it's nice to get a group that isn't full of these snowflakes and stuff, because a lot of the spiritual groups are full of people who are just so upsettable.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a symptom of some sort of incorrect living or incorrect diet, because you know, the more they go in, the sort of vegetarians, and they get very frail and they get very easily offended, and you know, they can't go and watch a film with any sort of gunfire or a zombie in it or something, because you know, oh, I can't take that. And I think, well, you know, isn't spirituality supposed to make you strong, supposed to make you adaptable, supposed to make, you know, but I don't think it is. I think, you know, that sort of veggie diet's been used for mind control for ages, and I think they know very well what they're doing. They get very, very, very weak and fragile, and you know, just eat some meat and strengthen yourself up a bit and watch The Walking Dead, for fuck's sake. That's what I say.
Actually enjoy yourself for once.
Yeah.
Oh boy. No, yeah, I couldn't agree more.
I mean, I think one of the funniest things is, you know, when posts pop up where you think, even you think, "Oh, you can't possibly say that. That's horrendous," you know. And I think those are the funniest things, because then I think of all the people who are going to be actually seriously offended, and I think it's really funny, to be honest. You know, when as long as it's not a personal attack or something, but when you're looking at something, you think about like Seb Shand, you know, he'll post some stuff sometimes and you go, "Oh my God." And you go, "That's excellent. Great. Leave that there. That's going to wind a few people up." And I just think it challenges you just to take the universe a little bit less seriously. That's all.
Well, the great thing about triggering people is you get to figure out what's actually going on underneath the surface. That's what I'm talking about, the limbic system. It's like, it's where your reality map doesn't really actually fit in with reality.
Exactly.
And you know it deep down. You know it. So that's why you're reacting. You're like, no, don't go there.
Yeah. That's what I like. Greg's done one as well, hasn't he? The Carnivore Trigger Group.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny. You know,
I haven't be that active lately. I love it though.
Yeah, he's cool. Oh man. Yeah, I mean, you must have had I think a really extraordinary upbringing, or just the way you kind of developed on your own. I mean, that thing that you posted, was it in the Beyond the Beyond group or something, when you were like 12 or something, and you wrote it?
That's my crown jewel. I actually made a video about that not long ago. I sort of went off onto like too many tangents. I'm going to redo it or something because that's a big topic. Yeah.
Oh, no, it blew me away. I mean, the
Thanks, man.
way you expressed yourself at that age, it was just like, God, here's a little avatar here.
I appreciate that. I mean, as you said, that came out of a lot of problems, a lot of health problems, a lot of struggle. I actually like I see someone who I talk to once in a while, you know, to get to the root of these more psychological side of these kinds of health problems. And I think I've been able to trace a lot of this back to when I was about 5 years old, trying to figure out if Santa was real or not, and then realizing he wasn't. And that dawning on me, the fact that everyone was either lying to me or didn't know the truth, that he didn't exist, and they were all stupid. And that got me into like a deep existential depression. My cousin recently told me that around that age, I had him questioning God, because I came to him after I'd started questioning God and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, interesting.
So, yeah, I was questioning everything very early on, and I don't know if that was the cause of the health problems or like it came with it or something. But there seems to be a big correlation there. I started getting most of my symptoms around 5-6 years old.
Wow. So it's totally different from me. Right at the other end of life, I had just the easiest upbringing. I was a complete, you know, sort of automaton up until about 8, I think 9, when they sent me to boarding school, and then I suddenly realized I was actually a human being of my own. And I
think a lot of people haven't realized that yet.
Yeah, I know. But it took me like 48 years old. It was 2010 before I really had a proper wake up call, I think. You know, and had to face loads of stuff properly. You know, I thought I had. We always think we have. It's that old Dunning-Kruger thing, isn't it? You know, we really think that we're experts about stuff, and generally we're not. And so it's always just waiting for that next little opening where you realize which other part of your beliefs is complete and utter nonsense. And I love that now. Love it.
Yeah. No, that's the whole process. It's like the little death, I guess.
Yeah.
Who calls it that? But yeah, it's like a breakdown of your ego and your idea of how things work in the world. And then that has to happen a few times before you start catching on that, like, oh, okay, this is a recurring thing.
Yeah.
You get used to it, and it's tough at first. It's really hard. I understand. It's like everything you thought to be real kind of falls apart, and then what do? You end up feeling very lost, and that's what I think. For me, a lot of spirituality is how do you deal with the unknown? Because that's another issue with, you know, people quoting science these days and saying what is real science, what isn't. I mean, we haven't really figured out a lot of things. We're discovering things constantly right now, and a large part of, I guess, established authorities out there, like universities and governments, is they like to make it seem like they know the facts. And I mean, actually getting to what a fact is really complicated. And you hear people say things all the time, that's a fact. And I think that's become like a trigger for me. So I have to like do some meditation on my own about that. But like at a party, I'll lose my shit on someone if they just say that's a fact about almost anything. I have to start questioning them. People have told me that I get scary when I'm like that. I don't start yelling or anything, but I really try to like, I need to make people realize, like, stop being so fucking arrogant. We know so little.
Yeah.
Like we're getting most of our information out of our 5 senses, and like when you realize that's how far you can get, like that, you're very small.
Well, you know, this is how it feels to me now. I don't take any of my beliefs or anything particularly seriously. What I see is that we're all just little parts of a whole computer. You know, I don't even believe that we're separate entities. I just, you know, something happened in 2006 where I never really quite saw anything the same again. It was everything I was looking for in spirituality, and it sort of hit me at the point where I gave up all spirituality. I just kind of renounced it, and in that moment, it was just like, oh, suddenly, you know, in that moment of letting go, I can see my place in the universe, which is not really, there is no me, you know, this whole business, and that's never gone away. And so now I can't particularly take it seriously. All I can see is that I'm this little cog that consciousness flows through, you know, and almost like Rick Archer of Buddha at the Gas Pump, he often says a sense organ of the infinite rather than an individual. You know, we're all just little sense organs. So there's nobody ever is going to know everything. The only thing that knows everything is the whole thing at once. And the way that it's forming itself and looking at itself and digesting itself by creating these little separate entities, whether they're gerbils or humans or potatoes or whatever, you know, whatever it's creating, it's all part of this beautiful play of consciousness. And all we can do is to go with our desires. You know, we can go with just that acceptance that, I suppose, you know, in the religious way, where they say just let me do your will. You know, I'm not religious at all, but when people just say God, let me do your will, you know, for me it does. I don't think about it in those terms, but in a way it is, because it's just you get given desires and you get given interests. And that's all you can do. And with the best possible intention, you can just get out of the way and let things happen. And so it's like when I have no idea if I'm going to make a YouTube video or which fill I'm going to play next when I'm playing drums live, you know, if I'm improvising or something, or, you know, stuff just happens. And you get out of the way of things happening through you. And so if you get that kind of perspective, it becomes so weird. I know exactly how you feel, because I don't care what people's point of view is. It's when they say, oh, this is settled science, or, oh, well, if you don't know that, then you're ignoring what's accepted fact and what this organization says. And you're like, when you see how the universe works, there is, however much somebody wears a suit, however much somebody has a qualification after their name, it doesn't make them any wiser than anybody else. It really doesn't in the long run. You know, in fact, it often makes them far less open to stuff. So, you know, with this beautiful thing of social media now, the universe probably decided that it needed, if it has some sort of consciousness that it decides anything, it needs to look at itself a bit quicker and a bit faster. And so now, if you look out there, if you really research, you can learn anything that a doctor can learn. You know, okay, hands-on skills of a brain surgeon, you perhaps need some practical advice. But, you know, if you're trying to learn about diet, if you're trying to learn about all this science of nutrition or whatever, it's all out there. You don't need a college course. You don't need anything. And when something becomes bullshit and you end up down a dead end of an alley, you can turn back and you can come round and you can go down another alley. You don't have to get stuck on the course and what your tutor tells you when you realize it's bullshit all the time. Somebody emailed me the other day. It was strange. And they have one of those Mark Sisson Primal Blueprint diplomas. And now he's doing all this other nutrition course or something. And he said, I've been watching your YouTube channel, he said. And do you know what? He said, I've stopped that course. He said, just because I realize that so much knowledge can be got from so many different areas. I don't need letters after my name. I don't need anything. And he said, look at this. And I said, from somebody as educated as you, because he really is, and he's got qualifications in this and that, I'm so honored that somebody should think that much of my YouTube channel, because who am I? I just look. But then I realized all I do is exactly what you do and exactly what any of the rest of us do with that attitude, is to look for each diamond in each pile of dog shit, you know? And you can go around and pick
That's
them out.
actually an expression I use all the time.
Is it?
Yeah. You gotta move 100 tons of dog shit to find a nugget of gold.
Yeah, you do. And that's the way it is. And that's what's the whole fun of it. It's this beautiful Sherlock Holmes sort of
That's
detective.
life. That's the adventure.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and you know, and for doing it, you get called a quack. But to me, that's how I look at it. I don't see it's even my choice. Sometimes I look at it and I think, you know, Martin pointed out to me at one point I was the second highest search on I don't know if it was YouTube or Google or whatever after Sean Baker for Carnivore, and I'm like, you're joking. I don't know whether I am anymore. Maybe it was just for a day or something. I don't know what it was, but I just looked. I thought, I'm just some hippie drummer. I've done this. I've just looked and I talk about it a bit, and I thought that's insane that's happened. But then I think, well, it's perfect because it's just what I really desire to do. It's what I feel like talking about. You know, I talk about other stuff too, of course, and I'd like to get to a point where there isn't so much diet wars and I can talk more about the other stuff. You know, talking about things like us being sense organs of the infinite, whatever, is so much more. My heart just goes, yeah, let's talk about that. Let's stop talking about ribeyes, you know. But because I'm doing what I'm doing,
pretty good too. Just saying.
Yeah, oh yeah. But I follow that kind of path of where my desires take me. And you know, at the beginning I had a load of kind of false starts because I had people who I thought were really good friends who got real angry about it too. It's just like when people can't take change. Yeah, they pigeonhole you as one kind of person, and you change. You know, I was the guy who was always quite funny and played drums quite well, and he was my mate. And you know, and then suddenly I'm this monster who's talking bollocks, faked my illness, and set myself up as a messiah on the internet. I'm like, are you joking? I thought you were my best friend. You know, it's a real shocker when that happens. But you've just got to you've got to let those things go and not feel resentment. And it's easier said than done. I did. I've let that go now. But you know, you've got to realize that life's really going to change, and to really follow our path in life, you've got to realize that your friends are going to drop away, and you know, everything's going to change. People are going to get angry with you, and that's the way it is. But just, you know, kind of love them and block them and move on, because it's not. I don't believe if you're doing it with a good heart, there's anything to do with ego about it.
Yeah.
You know, there isn't. I mean, I love it when somebody comes up and says, I've listened to a video and I've had this result and that result, but I don't ever pretend that it's anything to do with me. I didn't make up any of these things. I'm just well aware that I have a certain voice that I really want to put out there, and you do too. You have this way about you that some people are going to get really attracted to. I do too. And some people are going to hate me and they're going to really like Sverrier, you know, old Gattis, really having a go and eating raw goat heads at vegan rallies. And that's fantastic. And it doesn't matter, because people are going to find the next nugget wherever they're going to find them. And that's the whole beauty of it. You can see it all falling into place perfectly. And I can see this so much more clearly than I could when I was vegetarian, you know, because my brain seems to accept things more. It seems to just, you know, chill out and let things happen more. And so I don't see how it's so unspiritual. When I was at that time when I thought, yeah, you can't get enlightened if you eat meat, you know, all that kind of bollocks. And where did all this come from? So weird, so weird.
Oh boy, where to start? Yeah, no. I mean, you don't feel bad for killing all those adorable ruminants. I don't know. I've never found them cute. I think a lot of the time on the internet they try to portray them as being very cute, but I don't know. I've worked with cows. They're pretty gross, really.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people who think they're cute, I guess they haven't actually been around them. I think they're great. I think they're fine. They're perfect.
Right.
But cute, I don't know. Maybe they haven't been trapped in a very narrow alley in Varanasi in India, you know, with this horrendous creature absolutely covered in its own shit, squashing you against the wall and twisting you around in the middle of the night. Yeah, I have. Or you know, doing a downhill on down the side of a mountain on a mountain bike and getting and starting a stampede of bullocks and getting stuck in the middle of them. They're actually very scary creatures when you're in that. If you fall off, you're going to die. That was quite an amusing episode. But all kinds of interactions with cows and bulls over the years. But but a lot of people, I think, vegans, they're kind of, they're in a high-rise flat, or they're in their parents' basement or something, and they're in a city and they've never been to a farm, and they don't really get that idea. It's the old Disney thing, isn't it, that people are talking about these days? But, who killed Bambi and stuff. It's not really like that.
Nope. No. When I was living in the Yukon, I asked some natives out there if they'd ever met a vegan before, and they had no idea what it was. When I explained it to them, they just burst out laughing. It didn't make any sense to them. They were like, what would that do to a person? What are these people like? It's just like, you don't want to know.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. Yeah. Yes, I think that was there was some article there about some like hunter-gatherer type tribe somewhere in the Amazon or something, and somebody went out there and the same thing. They were talking about being vegetarian. They were vegetarian. They went out there and, stayed with them. There was an article on that, wasn't there? It was quite a good article. And it was like, they were saying, what on earth? What the hell's that all about? And these are people who have just been totally in touch with the planet. The universe eats itself, doesn't it? It just does. If I get eaten by something one day, vegans always saying, well, how would you like to be eaten? Well, I know, of course I wouldn't like to be eaten. I wouldn't like my kids to be eaten. But if my kids were eaten, out in the Serengeti somewhere by a lion, I don't go, that lion's evil or something. I'm just as grieving for my kids, but I'm not, I don't believe that the lion's evil. It's just what happens, isn't it? It really is. It's funny old business, but yeah, how it's been divorced from, how we've just been divorced from all that sort of ancestral thing. If you see the way that they are, these tribes and stuff, they don't have so many boundaries. They laugh at all these appalling things. They're not politically correct. They're in touch with the planet. I think this whole political correctness is taking us away from our real nature, because there's a magazine we have in England. It's called Viz. Viz, and it's a comic actually, and it's like an adult comic, but it's sort of, the format is like those kids comics, kids strip on each thing, like the Beano and whatever. But they had this one called Victorian Dad, and he was always very strict and stopping everybody doing everything and covering up the piano legs, like they used to do in Victorian England, because they were obscene. Somebody might get aroused looking at a piano leg, so they actually used to put these covers on them. It was absolutely insane. And then in the end, the last frame was always, he'd lost it, and he'd found some kind of little peep show or something, and he's there wanking, and he's just spurting all over the place, and he's lost it, because you can only hold it in for so long, all this nonsense and this repression. And this, I think, is why the whole Catholic Church, there's this problem with all this fiddling and stuff with kids and whatever. We can only go against our essential nature for so long. And our essential nature is pretty bawdy, and it's very irreverent, and it's very sexual, and it's very, we kill something when we need to eat it, and we ignore it when we don't, and this is how we are. This is our basic nature, but we have to get away from that. We have to start covering up piano legs, and we mustn't mention wanking in polite society and all of that. It's so weird, man. So weird.
Can't drink milk, otherwise you're a white supremacist. You saw that article, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Very weird. Yeah, very weird. And there was another one today, something about animal activists are trying to ban guide dogs because they haven't agreed to work. It's hilarious, isn't it? It really is. I don't know. I'd love to pop into somebody's head, somebody's head like that for a day, just to see what actually goes on. The turmoil that there must be in there.
I wonder sometimes, like, is it purely insidious? Is this just manipulation, propaganda, or is it like is it the expression of someone who's really truly disturbed deep down and confused? I think it's a bit of both. But
I think it might be. I think also, I just think it's the universe playing again.
Yeah.
I do. I just think the whole thing is just the most hilarious comedy. And you know, this stuff is just as natural as other stuff. You know, all the business about the guide dogs, all the business about the white supremacy and all that. I mean, it's all just a complete joke, really, and absolutely natural because it's happening. We can't argue with what's happening. This is what's happening. This is what the plan is for everything. We can tell people if we believe that we have free will at all, which I'm not really quite sure we do. I think it's sort of all kind of happens to us and through us. But if you think that you do, then you know it's just the choice you make to have these bizarre ideas or just to try and help people out and you know, I don't know. It's just all it's all a big joke. It's all a big joke, and that just takes
we don't know, so might as well.
Exactly. As long as you have that painted right across everything you think, I don't really know.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the best I can do at the moment. This isn't truth. This is the best I can do at the moment, you know.
I posted once on Facebook that I like to, like when I'm at a party or something and people are talking about just their opinions in general, I always like to imagine at the end of a sentence that they say, hey, well, you know, that's just how I see things. That's my opinion. You know, I'm doing my best like the rest. And, you know, that keeps things civil instead of like, otherwise I'm like, oh man, I have to break them down and make them realize how little they actually know. But actually that post triggered a few people too.
Yeah, well, it's cool. You know, it's all right doing that. I just think that we have to just put, and I'm guilty of not doing this. I even did it today a bit too much on one of underneath that deuterium vid, you know, and somebody drew well, two guys sort of drew me in a bit too much, and you just need to just kind of protect yourself really, and just not, you know, there's a point where the energy is just being drained too much, and if you're in a bad state, you're not going to be able to help anybody out anyway, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, you have to ask yourself why we're doing all this health stuff. Ultimately, it's so we can enjoy life. That's kind of the point, right? In whatever way we choose, whatever way we're driven to or are inspired to. And if we just end up falling back into that same loop, you know, getting into fights about our lifestyle, the lifestyle that allows us to enjoy our lives, then we're not enjoying our lives.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just a lot of people who don't get this haven't been in a state where they really can't enjoy life. You know what I mean? I went through all sorts of little health niggles and I could still enjoy life, and I was too stupid to listen to them. But when I had two ankles that were like, it feels basically exactly like they're very badly sprained. You can't walk on them. You know, one knee. So you got two ankles and one knee, a wrist where I could barely even pick anything up, and my neck, my back, and lots of other joints too. And, you know, when you're in that kind of state, it's bad enough having a sprained ankle, but you try having two and you know that might never go away if you listen to the doctor's opinion of it anyway. And all of this agony and you realize just how precious mobility and life is. You know, it's just, life is no fun. However much you've discovered yourself, you've had awakenings, you've stabilized emotions, whatever it is you've done, if you're in that much pain, you know, it isn't that much fun. It really isn't. You know, there's moments where you can sit on the sofa and kind of bliss out on your own, but as soon as you have to go for a piss or something, you have to face that you're in tremendous agony again. So that was the state I was in, and it's such a huge teacher. It's beautiful. I look back on it. I think, great. But I do look back on it knowing how stupid I was for not to listen to the sort of little whispers that were coming up at the time. And I suppose it's a concern for people to listen to the whispers. You know, I have people standing in front of me and saying, you know, particularly my vegetarian friends up here in the north, and they stand up in front of me and they say, oh, but I'm really healthy. You know, it's done me no harm. And I'm looking at them, I can see several issues, you know, immediately, and that they can't see. And I can see that they could lead to real trouble. And you go, oh, yeah, cool. You know, if it's working for you and whatever. But you can see that kind of thing. And it's just sort of trying to get people to listen to those whispers before they start screaming. But then again, it's not my business. If they pick up on it, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And if they don't, that's cool too. You got to kind of let that go, because they have their own journey, and that's fine as well. Because the universe, obviously, if there was anything wrong with cancer, it wouldn't exist, right? If there was anything wrong with arthritis, it wouldn't exist. It does exist.
Yeah.
And I think the more if you do get hit by something like that, the more you accept it and love it and find your way through it, then the more of a blessing it becomes, and the quicker it goes. You know, I always worry about people who...
I noticed that too.
Yeah, if they say, I'm going to fight this cancer, you know, you hear people saying that, and I worry about them then. I think, yeah, they're in trouble. You know, the ones who tend to get better are the ones who say, you know, fuck it, I'm going to get a motorhome and I'm just going to go hang out in the sun. And then you find that, like, years later, there they are. They were given 6 months to live, and then years later they're cool and they're still away and nothing's actually happened to them. You know,
it's cool to do what they wanted to do in the first place. Exactly.
Yeah. Because there's so much more, isn't there? There's so much more. That's what I was trying to show in this course. You know, that one I just released. It was, you know, I was out fishing one day and I thought, right, I'll make some videos, but I don't want to release them. I want to actually make a course about reversing autoimmunity and how all the different areas you have to look at, or any chronic disease. Because I was unlucky or lucky enough in a way that I'm not one of those people who could just go keto or carnivore and everything cleared up. I had to look at so many other areas. Mm-hmm. Some people get lucky and, you know, that's fine. But there's so many other aspects of health. So I thought, right, I'll do that. I thought, you know, initial thinking, I thought it's about 8 subjects, it's about 8 videos. And you know, at the end of the day, I think I made about 5. And then over the next few fishing trips, I realized, God, and I kept on coming up with more and more and more, like with that Carnivore ebook I'm doing right now. And I think there's 30 videos in the end. And, you know, I thought, excellent. I can see all these little patterns that I can do, and I can actually put this together for people. And I just got so excited to be able to actually lead them right through, you know, from beginning to end. I don't know whether anybody's going to do it. We brought it out at this reduced rate tomorrow. Well, today, actually. I think, right, we're 6 o'clock here. I think 6 hours it's got left, right, as we speak at that reduced rate. And then it goes up. But, you know, to get some more reviews in, I got a great review from Jack. And
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, from Paul Mabry. You know, I love Paul Mabry. He's great. What a helpful doc. My God, if there was more docs like that, he's fantastic. Yeah. But, you know, and I realized from the reviews, that I do have something to say. And it's so exciting to be able to help out, isn't it? It's so exciting to be, you know, I feel so honored that this knowledge has come to me when I'm just really a really lazy old hippie. If I hadn't got that ill, there's no way I'd have bothered to look at this. You know, I'd have sat there smoking dope, playing drums and sitting on beaches and whatever, and I wouldn't have got anywhere near any of this. So I'm just so honored that some idiot like me has actually managed to get this together. And I look at that course and I go, whoa, I put that together. Isn't that brilliant? And it's like creating a song. It's like creating a drum part. It's like, it just appeals to my creativity, or writing a novel, which I've got out as well. And just that wonderful creative process. I love it. And that's what's so exciting for me. So, you know, it was really great to be able to put that together, and then to be able to lead people down these little wormholes of knowledge. I thought, what would have got me on that day of diagnosis? You know, if I'd have got something right in front of me that I could have studied for the full day, probably take just about that long to really look at it properly. Well, one day, and I'd come out the other end. Well, that's not including all the links that I put as well to all the other little rabbit holes, you know, in each subject of all the people like Jack and Laszlo Boros and millions of other people, you know, to get confidence and whatever. And I thought, if somebody could have presented that to me, there wasn't anything, you know. It took me like 7 years or whatever to uncover all this stuff, and now to be able to put it together in a court, it's just lovely. It's just going, oh, isn't that great? And I know that there's somebody out there, you know, several people, you know, people have signed up, quite a few people have signed up already, and it's like, I know that one of them, two of them in the next month or so are going to say to me, God, you know what? I've got total change in these symptoms. And it's just like, isn't that just lovely? Isn't it so lovely when, I mean, you must have had it too. People do come back and they go, oh, you really inspired me to do this or to do that. And I don't give a damn if it's you or if it's Tristan, you know, or if it's Gattis or if it's, I don't give a damn. I love it when people discover it wherever they discover it. I like it even better when people don't discover it from me, because you just realize that it's this consciousness, it's this yeah, well, it's this 100th monkey thing coming up, isn't it? You know, it's the consciousness of the planet is waking up to all of this stuff and how it all ties in. And maybe the deuterium thing ties it in, you know, maybe it's something else, maybe it's subtler, maybe it's the emotional thing. I don't know, but there are all these lovely little parts of the jigsaw that we're all trying to squash together in the wrong order. But eventually we might get a little corner of it right, you know?
Well, and it seems that we might have, at least in some small way at this point. It works. If it works, then there's some truth to it. And as soon as you tap into some kind of truth, as soon as you get some kind of result, it just kind of blows your mind, because it's like, oh, I finally have a building block that's solid. I can start building my worldview on. It's amazing. Like I think it was like 2-3 years ago, I was thinking back to myself, I was like, what have I actually done in my life? I mean, I know I'm young, but I was thinking, like, what have I done that gets results? And the only thing that had actually worked was like a few things that I'd done with my health. And I could, if I stopped doing them, then I would get problems again. And then if I started doing them again, it would get better. It was that simple. And that just, for me, that's like, oh, I just found one of the reality buttons. Right?
Yeah.
Switches.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? I mean, you know, the thing that gets me, I think what I love also about the sort of carnivore tribe at the moment is that they seem to have been through everything else.
Yeah.
You know, particularly in a dietary side, I can see that a lot of people sort of still say the EMF stuff is tinfoil hatty and whatever. But, you know, generally, the carnivores are very, very educated people who've been through all kinds of other dietary things. And so to me, I think it's very weird when some critic will say, oh, well, down the line, you're going to get into trouble. Well, okay, it gets rid of all your symptoms. Everything seems to sort itself out. So like you say, it's a building block. Isn't that fantastic? If there's still maybe round the other side somewhere, a couple of the squares of the Rubik's Cube are not quite in place, don't you think that these people are going to figure that out? Don't you think that sometime down the line, if you get a little bit of a problem, you're going to figure it out? I mean, I did the other day. I trained really hard for the first time in ages. I thought, I'm getting really lazy. I'm not training at all. Yeah, I stay very lean from just eating meat. And I thought, do you know what? No, let's push it to another level. Let's cut right, because I've been drinking too much wine. I haven't been training. And I thought, let's push it to another level. Let's knock the wine on the head. Let's start training. And I went for it way too much. And afterwards, I had the weirdest reaction, brain fog. I couldn't think. It was like back in the days when I was vegan and I just could not think. I had that bad brain fog. And but now, because we have this knowledge, I just sort of thought through it as far as my brain could. I was really actually losing it. At one point, I thought I had a stroke or something. But it was about 2 weeks ago. And I thought, hang on a minute, you know, let's just think this through logically. And I thought, okay, I've probably been unbalancing things with the wine. I've been, you know, not quite in keto. And so then also now I've pushed it. I don't have any other energy that I've got to pull on. I'm not properly in ketosis. I'm not properly not in ketosis. I've been mucking about like that, and now I hit it far too hard because I used to just train really, really hard, and I owned a gym, and so now I find it difficult to ease in. You sort of kind of misjudge it, you know. You misjudge it and go for it a bit too much. I was doing proper negatives and going right into failure with everything. And really, after 3 years of hardly training, that was asking for trouble. And then I thought, hold on a minute. I've been low on electrolytes. I definitely have, because you think in the few days leading up to it, I was actually getting some cramps here and there, and then I didn't address it. I forgot to address it. I was busy. I didn't take a bit of extra salt. I didn't take a bit of extra magnesium. I haven't needed anything for like 2 years. I haven't felt the need for anything. But every now and again, something happens. I don't know why. But you get to be able to read the body, and if you ignore it and then go train like crazy, and I thought, right, I've busted the electrolyte. I've done something to electrolytes here. I just took a load of salt in water. I sat in an Epsom salt bath, took a bit of magnesium malate, and what? Everything came back in, you know? And you just know, and you can listen to the body, and you get these things, even if you run into trouble, you know? And everybody sort of thinks, oh, don't admit you run into trouble. But I love it. You know, you run into trouble, you get another little puzzle. I get cocky. I think, yeah, I can do this. I can do that. I can train hard. I can not train. I can drink some wine. No, I can't. You combine all of that and you're going to run into trouble. And I do too. Still, I'm still an idiot. I'm still a complete idiot, even with my own body. And I learn it. You know? And I get a slap now and again. And this is how you learn. You know, you fall down, you get up, you fall down, you get up. And, you know, so anybody who says the carnivore diet is just an elimination diet, it gets rid of the symptoms because of this, you know, gut bacteria doesn't respond to this other, but you know, that's just nonsense, because that's the stuff that caused it in the first place. But then down the line, if you run into trouble, well, we're going to figure it out. For Christ's sake, we're going to figure it out. You know, we're going to come up with something else and some other fix or whatever it is that happens. But you know what? I'm just not seeing people running into the kind of trouble like they did on all the other diets. I'm just not seeing it yet. I'm waiting for everybody to come along with one particular thing. You know, in the first month we're seeing it, aren't we? You know, there's people get a bit constipated, or they get the runs, they get a bit, you know, they get a bit of an electrolyte thing, you know, they get something. But down the line, as they go on a year, 2 years, I'm not seeing any problems.
Honestly, it seems like people get better and better.
I know, yeah.
It's actually kind of freaky. I don't know if it stops getting better.
Well, I don't know. You know, maybe there's a particular point at some where we all suddenly get tremendously sick and our right leg turns backwards or something. I don't know. But then at that point, then we'll figure it out. But I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it.
For now, this is the best we got. Like, I mean, I literally don't have a choice. I'll still get some arthritis pain if I don't eat like fresh meat. It's that intense. If I eat plants, then I'm fucked. I'm really fucked.
Yeah.
And I work 2 jobs. I need to keep things going. And
yeah. Well, all they say to that is, well, your gut's broken, so you can't take proper food. But maybe it's not like that at all. Maybe it's. I like to think. I often say this, that there's a saying about bipolar people, isn't there? That they're like everybody else, only more so.
Yeah.
And that's what it's like if you've had health challenges. The body never quite forgets. I don't say that I can go back and start eating pizza again and I'm going to be fine. I'm not. But
I just want to ask, because I've heard you mention before that you can eat more now than you could before without reacting. So there has been some healing. But
oh, absolutely. Yeah. But I don't do it anymore because I just find that the desire for it's gone. You know, I did experiment quite a lot in you know, up until about 3 years ago, but I think I've eaten only meat now. I think it's 3 years now. And I haven't really had any plants except for the occasional berry here and there, but particularly if I found them while I'm out fishing. I don't really like buying them in the supermarket. But, you know, I haven't taken anything. Maybe 3 or 4 times I've had mushrooms. But that's it. I haven't had any broccoli or cauliflower or any of that shit. So, you know, I haven't had any plant matter while I've been at home cooking or whatever at all for that long. And now it's down to like, how often can I take cheese? Really, it's something like that. You know, some days if I really crave it, I can have a whole load. You know, I can have like some ground beef cooked and then I can just cover it in grated cheese. You know, I love that. And then other days, if I don't have the desire for it and I eat it, I'll feel it. I'll react to it. But if I really desire it, I'll eat it. It's like chicken I'm not good with. I don't like that. I eat it and I react. But if I go, there was my daughter who popped up earlier on. It was her 10th birthday party in September, and we went to some indoor skiing place. They have these kind of fake snow sort of freezing places and whatever. And after that, went across to Nando's, and all the kids sat around, had chicken and whatever. And I thought, I have a real desire for chicken, and I never do. And I never get hungry when I'm out, really. I never know. But I thought, I want to just order everything on this Nando's menu and have a big pile of it on a plate and just go mad like an old feast, like a Viking feast. I'm going to rip this chicken to bits. And I thought, why have I got that? Anyway, I did that, and I had hot sauce on it and everything. And I ate tons of this chicken. I thought, I'm going to suffer tomorrow. And I didn't. Nothing. Not a whisper. Because my body said, I really want chicken right now. So there was something in chicken. I don't know what it was. It really wanted it. Like most days, I go, gee, I don't want chicken. I'm no interest in that. And even if I have, the kids eat it. And even if I have a little bite, like I'll think, oh, my son loves my 3-year-old son loves the skin. My daughter doesn't. So she just has the muscle meat with butter when she eats the chicken. So, that's fine. That's what she wants. So sometimes if I make it for her, I'll just eat a bit of the skin because I can't resist the skin. It's so nice when it's crispy, And so I'll eat some skin. And even a bite, if my body's saying, if I eat it just because it's there, even then I'll feel a little twinge.
Mm-hmm.
But it's what's so fascinating about this is going to the subtler and subtler levels of your tastes and your body's desires and the messages it gives to you, To me now, there's a monstrous difference between raw lamb and oysters, and my body will crave one or the other, whatever. Roast lamb and oysters. But, a raw oyster, some days I go, I just need that. I know I need that. My body obviously needs a bit of zinc or something, so I go out and I get some oysters. That sounded like a guitar going over.
Exactly.
Was it?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, some days it just wants that, and you get those subtle. It's so nice because you realize that most people don't have those subtle things. What they want is like they do I want chocolate cake or do I want pizza? Yeah. Like no, man, these are addictions. They're not desires.
What I see a lot here is drugs. It overrides everything, and then you completely lose touch with those subtler instincts. I'm only tapping into that kind of stuff recently. As a kid, I could just eat forever. My body seemed to crave nourishment, and it just wasn't getting it. And I think it's only in the last few years. I mean, I've been keto/carnivore for about 5 years now, and it's like that period of time is the first time I've ever felt full and actually started picking up on, hey, I think right now I need some pork. Or most of the time I don't do great with pork, but once in a while I just get a craving and I cook up some pork chops, and it's just, it blows me away. And then I don't feel like having them again. And if I keep eating them because they're there, it's the exact same thing. And same thing with the electrolytes. I've had the same experience. Now it's like a tangible thing. I need to get outside to every day. I feel that, and man, if I'm in front of a screen too long, I feel it. I feel it in my skin. Yeah. It crawls. I recently got Iris, which has helped a lot. It's great.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it? That's great.
But those little, and actually it's more than that. I would say it's even like I know what I want to do with my life more. I'm not saying because I'm carnivore. I'm just saying that I'm more in line with what's healthy for me. Be it carnivore, being outside more, or just getting rid of people who weren't the best influences on me. But like if I'm in a place, I'm like, there's someone here whose vibe doesn't jive with me. I used to have that, but I never paid attention to it. And I'm actually realizing I think a lot of my eczema was almost like a repressed instinct. I would feel bad in a place. I would be around people who things always ended up badly with. Yeah. And then I would get these flare-ups. And I noticed that they would happen more around certain people. It's like it's not psychosomatic. It's almost like it's a subconscious thing. But now I recognize that signal, and I swear I've been in places where I knew something was stirring, something bad was going to happen, and then I left, and I find out that some big fight broke out like shortly after I left. I tell people this, and they're like, I don't know, that sounds a little far out, but it's happened too many times now. It's a very, very tangible feeling, and I think that being able to hear your gut it's special. So few people have that, and it's like you were saying earlier. There's a lot of these, you're with your vegetarian friends who say, "Well, no, I'm healthy," but what is health? I think a lot of the time we don't even realize what we're not tapping into.
Mm.
Yeah, and like I've convinced my cousin, well, hopefully, but I told him just try eating only meat for a month, and get outside and stuff like that, do a few of these things. And he said maybe he'll try keto with some vegetables, and I said, yeah, that's fine, just try it. And he says he doesn't have any health problems, but to me he looks tired a lot of the time when I see him, and I don't know, just a little low energy. And I want to see, because I've seen it with a few people now, afterwards they're like, I thought I was fine. Like this is what fine is. And I'm not saying that I'm healthy. I don't know if there's like a limit. That's what I'm trying to figure out right now.
Yeah.
I keep feeling better, and more things keep blowing my mind. I'm like, how much further can this go? And that's part of the whole adventure, trying to figure.
No, I think that's something that's held me back. Actually, is how effective this is, because I was in so much pain that now this is such a relief. But then when I'm actually really honest with myself, I know that if I got outside more, if I exercised more, if I dropped the wine out earlier, if I know that there are other levels to this. Yeah. But because in comparison to where I was, I'm so comfortable, it kind of makes you a bit complacent sometimes, doesn't it? When I'm walking around and I know that I'm like the only 56-year-old with a flat stomach that I know within miles and miles around here. Yeah. And it's you sort of you get a bit cocky, and you think, oh well, I can kind of sit on my laurels, but really, no, I'd like to. I think it's time to start pushing it a bit further. I've just been so focused with getting sort of certain things up and running and whatever it was that I figured the life path was. But now I think the life path is particularly to just find out how far I can go with this, and it's never, because I feel exactly the same as I did when I was your age or whatever. You'd never grow up, your head never grows up. And now, it's like even drum practice. I'm thinking of things and I think, Christ, do other people who play drums at 56 think, oh, I wonder if I can do this, and I wonder if I can get this together, and my right foot's not quite as good as it used to be, and or as good as it could be, rather. I can kind of get some more control on that kick drum, and I'm losing it now and again, and it's kind of, I wonder, have they all settled in somewhere by now? Have they? I don't see ever settling anywhere in anything. Playing, diet, relationships, anything, everything moves on. Yeah. And the only thing that holds me back is my laziness. It's not my closed-mindedness. My enemy is laziness and complacency. I don't understand the closed-mindedness. I don't get that because I don't have it. But I'm sure I missed some things, but I don't mean to. I'm looking for them. It's just not my time to find them. But it's not because I reject things. But yeah, me, it's bone idleness, it's laziness and whatever. Having too much of an easy upbringing. That was my problem.
Yeah. No, at this point, I'm just trying to relax a little bit. I've been so high strung most of my life trying to figure this shit out. I have to remind myself to settle down. Is like I'm getting this time right now to actually enjoy myself, enjoy my body.
Nice.
I'm sure there's more work to come.
There always is, isn't there? Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I shouldn't say that. I'm still working like 2 jobs and doing this kind of stuff on the side and studying. So I'm not actually relaxing. This is my version of relaxing. I need to actually relax at some point.
It's just a matter of taking certain time in the day, isn't there, where you really do turn everything off. And I'm bad with that. I think sometimes, right, I'm just going to chill out outside, or I'm going to go fishing, I'm going to forget. And then I think, actually, that phone's been beeping. It might be something important, or somebody might need something, you know, serious or something. And then you have a look, and then you get stuck into the Facebook, you know, notifications. You're like, no. And that's all sort of wasted time where you're not in the present.
And then you find yourself there 4 hours later.
Yeah, I know. And then it's just, for me, it's just, you know, okay, that gets switched right off, and I'm sitting here and I'm taking my boots off. I'm putting my feet on the ground. I'm actually looking at the lake I'm in front of. Why am I looking at a phone when I'm next to this beautiful lake? You know,
I even bought myself a little MP3 so I can listen to podcasts when I go walking. And even that, I'm like, why do I need this stimulation? And the idea of just going into the silence is terrifying at first, but then I do it. I'm like, I'm so entertained by my own mind. I'm like, wait, I actually have my own ideas. That's incredible.
What I try and do is have a balance of it. I'm always listening to stuff when I'm walking around. I mean, I don't mind walking around when I'm like shopping or something. You know, I'll have some Human Performance Outliers or Buddha at the Gas Pump or something in my ears, just anything.
I have to start listening to that.
Want to study more and listen to that. And then, but then when I'm sitting at the lake fishing, it's great to have podcasts. You can sit there and you can look around, look for the fish. You can watch all the nature and stuff. But every now and again, it's like, okay, I'm a bit disconnected. I'm learning a load, but turn it off now and just be with these sounds of nature. And that's important. It's great to be able to do all this study, but every now and again, you've got to let it sink in. You know, I find it's like, it's like with music. There's things that you can learn, and sometimes they don't sink in at the time. You know, sometimes they sort of sink in a long time later after you've had a gap. It's like one thing I always remember with drumming. There's a drummer called Vinny Colaiuta, and he's just ridiculously good. He's just the drummer's drummer. And he has this thing that he used to do that nobody could quite understand. And it was just where he played, where his hands were playing quite slowly, but the whole thing was ridiculously fast because he was fitting in double kicks in between his hands, you see. And nobody could quite figure out exactly what he was doing and the order he was doing it in. And then apparently there was this other drummer, and he was crossing, you know, they were at some drum show, and one escalator was going up and one escalator was going down. And he said to him, so Vinny, look, what's that hand foot thing? He's going right hand, left foot, left hand, right foot. That's what it, oh, that's the order. Excellent. And so they just go, and anyway, so I heard it through this other drummer. And then I sat there for some reason. I mean, it's a stupid little technique, but I thought I'm going to get that, you know, and it's one of the most annoyingly tricky things that is just so unnatural for the body, where you're playing right hand, left foot, left hand, right foot. And you know, it's really wobbly and you can't do it. And I used to sit there with a practice pad and a practice kick pad as well and watch films. And for about 3 months, I practiced just this one thing. And I couldn't get, you know, it just wouldn't. And then one day it happened. And it was like effortlessly without any limb moving fast. And I thought, whoa. And then I thought, right, I'll take it into the playing. But I couldn't take it into the playing. You know, and every time I played, I'd try and put it in. And it wouldn't go. I'd always cock it up every single time. And there is actually a film. There's a video on YouTube of I think I'm playing a sort of bluesy, rocky version of I Shot the Sheriff with a blues band at some festival. And it was 2013, and I'm really, really skinny. I'm like 125 pounds. It's up there on YouTube somewhere, buried away. But I can see that suddenly I play it. I suddenly play this thing around the drums, and you can see the expression of absolute surprise in my own face, where I think I'd even let it go. I'd given up. I thought, okay, I can do it as a party trick, but it's never going to come out in my playing. And it's funny, the whole point of this, to illustrate this, and now I just kind of pull it out of the bag all the time. It's real easy, and I do it. And even now I listen to it, and I think that's such a weird thing to do. How on earth am I coordinating that? But it's become muscle memory so much. It's beautiful, and it flows. And it's kind of useful sometimes, as long as you don't overdo it. But now my point of all of this is that quite often we don't know what it is that we're learning and when it's actually going to stick. Do you find that sometimes in health, in anything, you sort of come out with something or start doing something and you realize, where did that come from? Where did I learn that? And you trace it back to something that you almost ignored, or some tiny little point in a podcast or something like that years ago. And then suddenly it goes through this wormhole in the space-time continuum to the present, and suddenly it pops up and it's relevant, you know? And all of this knowledge that goes in, and I think all of this stuff that I study, and I would say I spend maybe 4 hours a day, all told, with something in my ears, you know, learning, or something I'm watching. And the rest of the time I try and stop, because the temptation is even to wake up at night and say, I'll just plug one earpiece in, I'll listen to another 15 minutes of that podcast before I fall asleep, you know? And you kind of do that. And all that knowledge is going, and you think, where's it getting me? But it's funny, because nowadays, when people come to me, and I do Skype consults and stuff, and I think I always start the consult and I listen to the first few minutes and say, what on earth am I going to say to this person? What on earth am I going to say? And then, you know, about half an hour in, a picture starts coming clear. And then after about an hour and a half, I'm like, where is all this stuff coming from? This isn't me. This is just kind of knowledge sort of flowing through me. And it comes, and it's stuff that I don't even remember I knew, you know, and stuff that's gone in and this is what's so beautiful about all that study, isn't it? That then when somebody comes to you, you can pull this stuff out of the bag that you didn't even know you knew, you know? Yeah. And it's the same as that drumming thing. So anyway, I was waffling there. It's a long, convoluted way around. Boring explanation of how you play a Vinnie Colaiuta four-limb drum lick.
Oh man, if I had a drum set, oh shit, I want one.
Oh, they're real fun. My partner, my missus, she started getting really fascinated with it, and I thought, you know, I have to kind of wait for her to get off the practice kit. There's the kit behind here with one of these Roland V drums. You can't see it at the moment because it's too dark, but that's there just for practicing. You know, the acoustic kits for live, and she's on it half the time now. It's very, very addictive. It's a great instrument.
Oh, I got addicted for a little while there in high school. I was just, man, it's so primal. It gets something out.
Yeah.
I end up
live. I was thinking about this last night, and I was there's one of the tracks that we play, and they keep the kind of groove going. They keep the sort of vamp going. I don't like drum solos when they're out on their own, you know. I like the way they react. You know, if the guitarist plays a solo, I don't stop playing. So why should they stop playing when I play a solo? It's got to be relevant to the music. So, and then I'll do it. Then I enjoy it. So I'm playing against this track called Black Cat Bone, this kind of funky thing, and they keep the vamp going. And I'm playing over it, and there's stuff coming out that I don't even know that I can play. You know, where did that come from? And then you're sort of panicking. How am I going to get out of this? And you think, no, stay in the present. But I'm thinking about staying in the present, so I'm not in the present. You know, all of this is going through your head. Nobody watching knows. But it's all going through. And I just thought, I feel really sorry for people who play any instrument apart from the drums. Like, they're so much fun.
Hey, that happens on the guitar too. It's been a while for me, but no, you can go into those flow states. And I mean, I mean, I've ended up kind of being the therapist for a lot of my friends. And so I totally relate when you talk about the consultation stuff. And I'm seeing that now too, helping people out. It's crazy. It comes out of nowhere. I don't want to say it's the teacher-student relationship, but I've seen that in those experiences too. My mother teaches, and she talks about it all the time. She's like, she doesn't feel like she communicates very well most of the time, but then when she's in front of a class, things just kind of come out. You're putting yourself in that role. It's the same thing, like playing music in my room isn't the same as playing a show. I end up, I'm a different person, and new things come out. It's putting yourself in that, I don't know what it is. It's like it's a role. It's an archetype almost.
Yeah. It's also, you know, something, I think being a musician is a really good way to realize that there is a collective consciousness. Mm-hmm. Because it's a totally different vibe from gig to gig, depending on who's in the audience. You know, depending on who's in the audience, a song that worked well the night before won't work at all, and a song that didn't works beautifully, you know, and you don't have any way of figuring out why. And sometimes you can absolutely nail something at a rehearsal and you think that can't possibly go wrong on the night. And to the audience, no, it's played quite well. You know, I'm not at a stage where I'm in bands that have musical train wrecks and it all falls apart. But there's just a certain feeling during that song. And you're thinking, this isn't working. This isn't the right one for this room, or this isn't. And if you get somebody very intuitive, like some of the people I play with, who are the sort of leaders of the band, they'll you know, even if there's a set list, they'll just go completely against it because they can feel what's going on in the room, you know. Mm-hmm. They can feel what might work and what might not work. And even beyond that, where just even if everything's working beautifully, it depends on the consciousness of the audience and how much they're into it, how much what the different mix of characters in the audience. It's so fascinating when you know, sometimes I will even feel something in one limb while I'm playing, and I'll kind of look around the room going, where's the sort of disturbing influence here? Where's the disturbing influence that's stopping me playing correctly in this particular limb? You know, that like something's not sitting right. And then you look at somebody in the corner and they're like sort of, you can see that they're kind of pissed off and they don't want to be there really. They've been in the place for a drink and they want to go and, you know, they're on the pool or something and they want to go and get off with somebody or whatever. And they're not even interested in the music. And you can just sort of feel that there's some reaction in your body to some disturbance in the force, you know? Oh, it's so fascinating. Music is fascinating. You know, the whole audience is part of the band.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, exactly. I've actually been hired as a hype man a few times because I have no reservations when I dance. I just get fully into it. And I had a few bands who I would often just be the only person dancing. And then I'd finally get some people in. So people, I guess a few bands gave me a little cut to do that at all their shows for a little while. And it's really interesting when you start reading the room, and because so much of it is that exchange, right? I think in the Grateful Dead talked about it a lot. It was that they gave the energy and then the crowd gave the energy back. Of course, they're on a ton of LSD, but you can do this sober too.
Of course. Yeah.
And when you in the audience realize that, and you see it as a whole situation, then you can sort of find your place in it, and you can play around with the energy. And we can say it in terms of energy, which is, I think, a totally valid explanation. But if people need more of a rational perspective, you can say, well, we read body language on a very subconscious level. And if you can start listening to your body and what it's picking up on, then you can play with that. And then, you know, create your own little influence. And it's the same thing with, if you're consulting with someone, you start having that energy exchange and you find the right place to come from. And when you do, then, I mean, the subconscious, it works. I think they were saying that what they know about the brain right now is the unconscious parts of it work 8,000 times faster than the conscious part. So yeah, it can start putting things together pretty quickly. And if you're in the right place, it just comes right out.
Absolutely. This is why I can't, you know, I've always been one of these people who never fits into forms. You know, you try and fill a form in it. And how can you do that? Or this is why I can't play, you know, if I was a bit more financially astute, I would get in some band that played these kind of covers and did weddings and things like that and got sort of big money for those individual gigs. But it drives me mad. I'd rather play the pub gigs that are just hardly paid at all, because to get into bands where there's some kind of improvisational quality, I've got to have that. I've got to have I need a guitarist who can go wild, you know, and doesn't run out of vocabulary. And fortunately, there's 2 or 3 I play with and who are just monsters. And I love that, because then you can react to them. And then it doesn't matter what the energy in the room is, because then you go through the song and then you take off into that improvisation, and whatever the energy is in the room will happen, and then it'll feel right, whether it's a bit of a satanic night or this sort of blissful night or whatever it is. Whatever's coming back from the crowd, you can mirror it, you know, where you can't if you're playing kind of top 40 stuff and you've got to start. That's my nightmare. I can't do that. that's exactly what what we talked about to start with, of being caught in a certain line of education, you know, and not being able to pick the diamonds from the dog shit. You know, if you're in a room full of dog shit, you got to be able to play dog shit. You've got to be able to play, you know, and mirror that room. Then you can have fun with it. You know, you can jump in that dog shit, run around.
Yeah.
If you're forced to play cat shit that night, it's not going to work. You know. Jesus, I've never quite thought of it like this before. It's funny how these things come out, isn't it?
If you come with a bottle of Windex, then you're stuck cleaning dog crap for the rest of the night with Windex, and that's no fun.
Yes, nice one. Yeah.
It's a good metaphor. You can go all the way with it. But
Yeah.
no, it's people with these blanket statements. It comes right back to the carnivore diet. We're not saying this is for everybody, but like your program in itself, and I'm pretty sure this is how you work with people. And that's what I liked about what I saw from your program so far, is that I end up doing the same thing a lot of the time. It's more of an elimination diet, but it's also very individual. It's extremely individual, and you work with the person. I'm talking for myself here, but I'm guessing it's the same for you. You don't come with a plan. You have all of these things that we've done, and mostly we work off of experience, and it becomes a very intuitive thing. And I think that's a big war going on right now, intellectually, or just in almost every field, be it political or health or artistic. It's do you come with a plan? Do you come with the perfect plan, or do you work with the environment? Right? Can you force the environment?
You've got to know what you're working with before you do. I mean, sometimes I don't say a word for like half an hour or something. You've got to listen to people and listen to the story. Sometimes it's quite obvious to start with, but sometimes, you know, I see sort of health as a wheel with the major pillars being kind of diet, light, environment, emotions, spirituality, you know, all of these things, and they have all their little subsets, but anybody who comes to you has a different imbalance of stuff. You know, if somebody is on some full carnivore diet and they're having trouble, and then I really listen to them, very often it's nothing to do with the diet. You know, it becomes obvious after a while that they've got some horrendous relationship, or they've got some fear of something, or some, you know, discontent in life, and you can lead them more to other ways to kind of unwind that and change their beliefs and their you know, squash down some old paranoias and fears that might have been going on since childhood or something. And you can see these patterns emerge where they might not be able to see them themselves, and it becomes quite obvious. So somebody might have a wonderful diet, and yet they're staring at blue screens, or they might have all the light out in the house, and they've sorted all that out, and they're eating pizza, or they might have all of that covered, and yet they've got this terrible resentment against their mother or something, you know, something like that. It's all different. People have different balances. People go, oh, well, diet's all very individual, health's very individual. It is, but it's in sort of certain pillars of sort of main pillars of what's going wrong. You can see which imbalances people have in different areas. And what I've been so fortunate to have been such a complete and utter idiot in absolutely every single area, that I've been able to look at them all, you know, I've been forced to look at them all. So I can kind of see where other people are messing up in all of those areas, rather than, you know, I kind of feel sorry for people who are just stuck in that diet sphere. You know, Jack Cruz is always having a go at me. He always pops up and saying, stop being a diet guru. The world needs fewer diet gurus and more light gurus. And yeah, he's right. But what is needed is somebody who can see all of them, you know, and also just the reason for talking about diet is just that it's got the most bullshit built up around it. That's all, you know, that's all.
Yeah, no, but I have to say, just about that point, a lot of people, you fix the diet and everything else seems to go so much better. It's not to say that that's the only way at all. I mean, there's two people I've actually talked to, and all I changed was their light stuff and a few relationship problems, and They're doing great. Like it actually cleared up some of their health problems. Of course, there's all of that, and there's the EMF stuff. But at that point, you can't really have an EMF guru unless you're like one of these people who can come in and change everything about the person's environment, because there's not much we can do about that right now, unless you move or you paint your entire room with anti-EMF paint and shit, but that costs thousands of dollars. Anyways, so what we have for now is, this light environment. There's the food, and the food does, I mean, there's so many people. I have to harp on Jack Cruz a bit for that. I haven't talked, well, actually I did talk to him at some point, but I haven't really talked to him much. But like, no, food is very important. I don't know what he's going on about.
Well, yeah, he keeps coming down on that. I understand, because people seem to think that food is the only thing.
No,
but you've only got to see how powerful it is. You know, this carnivore thing. People are getting lean. People are unwinding things, and then like I say in the course, I think out of the 30 videos, I think 5 of them are on diet, but the rest aren't. And just to be able to, to say that. I always use this analogy of hosing the mud off the car, hose the mud off the car before you polish it. A lot of these other things are polishing agents. People come to me, particularly after I did that Buddha at the gas pump thing, that interview. A load of people came to me who are like spiritual, even some spiritual teachers. And it was like, I feel like I've lost my awakening and stuff. And they expected me to do some kind of, Kundalini-ish thing or something. And I just said, man, what are you eating every day? Oh, I eat very healthily. In the morning I have this porridge or granola, and I have all the fruit in it, and then at lunch I have my rice and dal, and then in the evening I might have a vegetable soup and some wholemeal bread. And I'm like, man, that's fucking you up. That's fucking you up big. Oh, but why? This is, well, and the ones who change it, then everything would change. And then you come back and they say, well, actually everything's cleared up. So it was nothing to do with losing an awakening. It was nothing to do with some weird Kundalini shift between chakras or something. It was nothing to do with that bollocks. If you're not eating right, then everything else seems miserable. So do that. And I find, yes, changing the diet, if it's particularly if it's really bad, can sometimes take everything down to 20% of what it was. And then you can say, okay, right, which is actually emotional now. Because you can work on the emotions all you like. If you're completely fucked up and schizophrenic from your gut being broken, then, how the hell, any amount of EFT is probably not going to sort that out. So, so fix the gut, and then let's see what's left. And then it can become real fun. And then let's get into the real root of stuff that's real interesting. But, sometimes I get to talk, somebody comes for a consultation, I get to talk about diet for an hour and a half. And sometimes I don't get to mention it at all, which are my favorite ones, to be honest. And
it gets a little boring and repetitious just talking about that stuff.
Yeah. This is why I'm doing, and I'm finding it hard to get into it and getting stuck in, because, as I said, I'm a complete lazy bugger and I have no work ethic. But trying to get this ebook done about the questions about carnivory, it's kind of boring, and I want to get it out the way so that if somebody asks me, I can say, I just take that, or even if somebody Skypes me, I'll just send them a free version and say there's 60 questions in there. You won't come up with another one. Well, you probably will, but at least it'll be new, and then I'll just add it anyway so that no one else asks me again. I can just say, here they all are. The answers are pretty simple. And now let's get into the other stuff. We've hosed the mud off the car. Now let's polish it. That's fun,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, man. How long have we been going for? Just want to see.
We've been going for an hour and 45 minutes. And I think it's about time to wander off and get the kids to bed and stuff, probably. But it's flown by, hasn't it? Wow.
Talked about all kinds of things. Good.
Oh man, I've been looking forward to this one. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the idea. Thanks for the idea.
Yeah, no, for sure. And again, like I came into this, I made sure not to take any notes. I didn't want to have any questions prepared or anything. And just talk. Yeah, I think we need more of this.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way to do it. I thought it was great fun, man. I think. You're great to talk to, and I think you're going to be a great voice for this. I mean, God, if you're doing this at your age, I just think you're going to be doing some extraordinary things. It's just going to be getting better and better. So,
I hope so. It's a little bit,
carry on.
it's a little bit daunting at some point because it's, as I said, it's like, how much is there to say? I feel like there's going to be a book out and it's going to be the go-to. If not, probably your questionnaire, your FAQ book, and there isn't that much more to say. It really isn't.
Yeah, there is. There always is.
Well, yeah. I guess on the spiritual, emotional side of things.
But everything, you know. I mean, even the way you phrase one, even if you do the exact damn same thing and do it frequently asked questions, or whatever it is, the angle that you do if you do some book on that, or whatever anybody does, it doesn't matter because the people who you appeal to will buy that, you know, and the people who I appeal to will buy that, and it's fantastic. It's that there's room for everybody in this. That's what's so cool. There's no sort of, I feel no jealousy. I feel no ego about it. I feel just privileged to be part of it. It's fun to be part of it. You know, we get a lot of flack and we get a lot of abuse, but that's part of being on the sort of cutting edge of something. It amuses me when we say cutting edge because there's people out there who've been doing it for decades who look at us as like, oh look, you've just cottoned onto the carnivore thing. We've been doing it forever, but for some reason, you know, we want to talk about it, and that's great too. Just go for it, you know. Fuck it. If somebody starts attacking it, you know, it doesn't matter whatsoever. It's their own business. It's their own problem.
Well, yeah, it's funny. That's actually what got me into this is you dealing with some guy on your Facebook, and I had to step in because he was being so fucking ridiculous.
I remember that one. Thank you. Yeah. It was really well appreciated. I was getting exhausted at the time, and I came up with written a load, and I thought, oh, Oliver, thank you so much, because I'd had enough of that one.
Oh boy, oh no, he was a real piece of work. I wish I remembered what he was talking about, but that was just brutal.
Oh yeah, he's a guy called Tim Cooper, I believe. I think it was him.
Hope he's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I had blocked him in the end because it just went on and on and on. And he's been doing it to me for years, actually. He pops up every now and again, and then I forget about him and I forget to block him, and it goes on and on. And I think there is actually a bit of weirdness and instability there, to be honest. You know, but it's just sometimes it's interesting to have those conversations because you know a lot of other people are watching too, and it answers a lot of their questions. You know. Yeah.
No, and you never know. Maybe they're going to bring up a good point. I mean, in this case in particular, he was just name calling you, and
yeah, no.
It gets a little weird when someone starts railing on you and calling you completely insane when like 90% of the comments are people being like, "Oh yeah, this is great." But you're kind of standing out, man. It's like,
yeah. No, but the next thing is that how dangerous I am that I'm fooling them.
Yeah.
You know, because they are my followers, and that's so weird because half of these people discovered it before I did anyway, and just like my followers, it's so funny. It's like I just think it's hilarious. Like on the group where some of these guys who I know quite well, they started off this supreme leader business. I just think it's hilarious. You know, oh, we mustn't upset the supreme leader. I mean, God, it's so ridiculous. It's just, I know it's a piss take anyway. I don't take it seriously at all because I know I'm just a complete imbecile. You know, I know what goes through my head and how incredibly juvenile and childish I am. And the thought that I could ever be the leader of some sort of cult or something you know, I'm just some idiot that started a Facebook group. Anyone could have pushed that button to start the damn Facebook group, you know, and you know, the vegans or whatever, they're going, oh, see, he's got this Facebook group and the followers in his cult. And you're like, do you have any idea that most of the people on there are like doctors or people more experienced than me? I go on there and learn stuff every day.
And I'm like, disagree all the time on there.
Huh?
People disagree all the time on there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's, you know, it's nothing to do with me. It's not, you know, it's so funny. It's just the perspectives people have. You've just got to laugh and let it go.
It's people they're experienced having like a guru, some kind of established form of authority, intellectual authority, and then you just have us who we're completely aware of the fact that there is no established authority, so we're all just winging it and helping each other out, and we don't know what the fuck's going on, but seems to be working. So, and that's scary to a lot of people. Is like, you go to a group and you're like, okay, you want answers, but then you go to a group and you just have a ton of people being like, I don't know. I see questions a lot of the time. People coming saying like, is lemon juice something that's allowed on this diet? And everyone's like, we don't give a fuck. Like, if it works, go for it. Like, try things.
Yeah.
For most of us, 100% carnivore works, but I mean, there's all kinds of other things involved, and do what you want.
Exactly. Yeah. Just live and let live. And also take a piss. You know, I mean, I love it. I love taking piss. I love it when people take the piss. Like Jason Coates, you know, he often comes up and he does whole posts where he writes stuff just really taking the piss out of me. And I love it. I think it's hilarious. I think that's absolutely great. I love it when he posts stuff. He comes up with some absolute genius stuff, and it really amuses me. You know, if you take the piss as much as I do, you've got to be able to take it as well. You know, I just carry on. Yeah. That's funny, that whole thing about cult leader and stuff. That weird perception they have of maybe they need to follow somebody, and they've got like, as Tristan calls him, like, you know, the bobble-headed Dr. Greger on his treadmill on his interviews now. That's hilarious. Tristan's hilarious. I really amuses me. I love his stuff. Yeah,
he's doing a lot of what I would have liked to do with a YouTube channel a long time ago.
But you know, there's room for it as well. You know, go for it. You know, we'll have our own voice. I mean, Tristan wasn't always doing those great big 3-hour live broadcasts. I watch some of them and I think, God, how does he do them? How does he maintain that for 3 hours? I think he's tremendous. I can talk to somebody for 3 hours. I can talk to somebody forever, you know, well, as long as they're interesting. But, you know, I don't think I could I could do what Tristan does. I don't think that's my style at all. But I love listening to him.
Equator Sun.
Yeah. Maybe that's what's fueling him up, you know. Yeah.
I need some of that.
So do I. Cool. Well, I think I better go and pay attention to the kids and get them in bed. It's like coming up to 7 now, and they probably need to be wrestled into the bath and whatever. So
that's awesome, man. Okay.
Oliver, thank you so much. Honestly, that was fun, and we should do it again. And when I start mine up as well, I'm gonna definitely get you on. I need to ask you several things, but
anytime.
That'd be fun.
I would love to just get discussions going all the time, make it a regular thing.
Yeah. So you're going to upload this? You're going to upload this one?
Yeah, I'm not going to edit it or anything. That's how I want to do this stuff.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
No, I don't care. I just
want
some genuine stuff out there.
Nobody threw up on camera. Nothing. It's all right.
That would have been good. That would have been great.
It would have been pretty good, wouldn't it?
Maybe I'll eat some like broccoli next time and make it happen. Just, you know, spice things up.
Yeah, we can have a purging one. We can have like a group purging discussion.
It's all ayahuasca and then listen to our conversation.
Yes.
From separate.
Oh God.
No, yeah, I would love to take this in all kinds of wacky directions. I had a friend who wanted to do a philosophy podcast with me at some point. He just moved recently, but I was like, okay, as long as we get dressed in the weirdest costumes possible and we have it filmed, and we never mention the costumes. It's just
it's
an undertone. Like, I'd be a wizard, he'd be a pirate, something like that.
Cool.
Stop taking things so seriously, right?
Exactly, man. No, I'm looking forward to seeing how your channel develops. It's going to be cool.
I have no idea for now. All right.
I'm gonna leg it. Lovely to speak to you, Oliver. Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun. That's cheered me up this evening.
Good. I'm glad. After a good nap. I need to take one.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, stay in touch. Have a good night.
Definitely. You too, man. See you soon.